Yo! Welcome back, Wolf Gang. This is the Fantasy Fixers Podcast, and I'm your host, Winston Wolf. We're on the road to 100 subscribers, and there will be a giveaway after that. I had a guy from the Fantasy Fixers Facebook page ask me if the giveaway was real, and it's authentic. It'll be an entire production to follow for who won. I'll announce when the giveaway will start and who actually won in the comment section. So hit the sub button if you're new to the channel. This is the week recap and the best waiver moves to make for week 4. I'll be remiss if I didn't start with the wild game with the Bills versus the Dolphins. The Miami Heat is a real thing. It's so hot there that the mailmen started teleworking. You could tell the Bills were out of their comfort zone and were collapsing all over the place. Josh Allen was Josh Allen. He threw the ball 63 times for 400 yards, 2 touchdowns. Singletary had a huge day on your bench, grabbing 9 of 11 targets for 78 yards and a touchdown. I wish they would utilize him like this weekly because this is too good of an offense not to be able to trust a running back in his backfield. Diggs was shadowed by Xavier Howard. You couldn't be expecting the 40 points he's been accustomed to getting. The Finns only had 43 snaps. Tyreek's gave you a dud, 2 for 33, and Waddle still got his, 4 grabs, 102 yards. They say Tua had back spasms. That looked like a concussion if I ever seen one. They literally took him to the tent and splashed water on his face and told him, go back out there and get him, Tiger. You're good. The Bears threw the ball a measly 17 times. Justin Fields might as well be Michael Vick without arms. Just let him run the Wildcat all game. Told y'all last week that I am out on this entire offense other than David Montgomery. But with him being ruled out immediately, I think he's going to miss some time. Dameon Pierce of the Texans ran for 80 yards and a TD. Sell him like he's at a flea market. How many games will the Texans play where they can run the ball 20 times? Probably never. Whatever you paid to get Lamar Jackson on your team, it wasn't enough. The human cheat code is back. Passed for 218 and 4 touchdowns while running for 107 and 1. It's literally the Lamar and Andrews show. I regret not getting Mark Andrews in more leagues. J.K. Dobbins made his debut. Didn't do much. Didn't look 100%. He's just a bench player that you would only play once the bye week start. Did y'all see Mac Jones doing the gritty in the end zone? You'd have thought he had Lamar numbers. Mac had 321 and 0 passing touchdowns. He did run one in, can't admit. Devontae Parker had 5 catches for 156 yards. I don't know if this is a fluke or not with Jacoby Myers out of this game. I don't trust it. But even if you pick Parker up, you have to realize that Mac will likely sit a couple weeks out because that injury looks bad. Insert Brian Hoyer, and none of those receivers can be trusted after that. Before I start anybody on this team with Brian Hoyer as the QB, I would rather get a pain injection from the Chargers medical staff. In the battle of the 2 number 1 overall QBs of Winston versus Mayfield, it almost looked like a contest of who could look worse. Both offenses stink, but at least the Saints have startable receivers. I traded DJ Moore for one half-bitten pizza roll this week. When he passed me the pizza roll, it was so hot that it dropped and my dog ate it. And I still feel like I won the trade. I still don't know how the Colts beat the Chiefs. At least they gave Taylor the ball this time. If I can buy low on Jonathan Taylor, I'm doing so. He came away with 21 carries, 71 yards. The TDs have to come eventually. Michael Pittman Jr., 8 for 72. He had a solid performance for a player, returning from injury. Mahomes only landed 1 TD. Kelsey went 4 for 58 in TD. Juju Smith-Schuster saved your fantasy day by landing a 53-yard catch and run. Kelsey is the only receiving option to depend on. Juju will be hit or miss all season, but you didn't draft him as your number 2. You drafted him as a flex player, so this is what you have to get. If you can sell high on CEH, do so. He's starting to become a rich man's Nyheim Hines. 7 carries for 0 yards while splitting the carries with Jared McKinnon and Isaiah Pacheco. Clyde Edwards-Helaire had another decent performance, I have to admit it. But how long can he sustain this efficiency on limited touches? They are starting to utilize him in the passing game, which is his strong suit. But the days of him scoring 15 points on 12 touches would come to a screeching halt. The Lions were back to their old tricks, losing the game when they were up 24-14 to start the fourth quarter. Jamal Williams went off. 20 carries for 87 yards, and with the Swift injury, he's going to be a top 12 running back every week that Swift doesn't play. Amon-Ra St. Brown, the sun god, came down to earth, 6 for 73. On the other side of the ball, there was a shoulder injury as well. Dalvin Cook. We don't know the severity of it just yet. And I always think it's weird when he has a shoulder injury and he just plays the next week. I think he did it last year. But this was a great performance for Cook, 17 for 96 and a TD. How terrified are you if you drafted Justin Jefferson? 3 for 14. That's 2 duds in a row, and I don't know how you're afloat when your first pick has put up back-to-back duds. I think they figured this out, though. There's no way you have a player of this caliber and he not lead the team in every statistical measure. Go get Justin Jefferson in every league you can, because it's only a matter of time of him showing you he's the same guy who played in game 1. I would like to tip my hat to Jalen Hurts for not only getting busy, but throwing the ball to all your best players. This is what we love as fantasy owners. Unlike Derek Carr with his favorite receiver, Mac Hollins, who had a day that nobody wanted to see other than Mac Hollins and his parents. All 3 Eagles playmakers at least gave you a score. This game was nowhere near close. Hurts put up 340 and 3 touchdowns. This is the product of having the best offensive line in football and building around him with weapons and difference makers. Wentz went back to the QB we remembered. He went from Peyton Manning to Marshall Manning. 211 yards and 0 touchdowns. McLaurin put up 102. There's nothing else here. Battle of the Granddads. The Packers versus Bucks. Rodgers put up 255 and 2 touchdowns. And I think this is where he's going to pretty much live all season. I think the MVP days for Rodgers are a distant memory. It's just not enough playmakers on this team for him to put up gaudy stats anymore. This could be Romeo Doubs' breakout party. He caught every target, going 8 for 73. With Watkins on the IR and Christian Watson continuing to be banged up, they have to turn to their most elusive and developable wide receiver that they have in Romeo Doubs. It's not Randall Cobb. He's 58 years old. Tom Brady, the GOAT. He rolled out there with Russell Gage and Cole Beasley. Cole Beasley has been there such a short period of time that he's still living out of his moving boxes in Tampa. There's nothing to see here until Mike Evans and Chris Godwin get back. Jacksonville's stumping the mud flaps off the Chargers this week. The player I'm most surprised out of and excited for is James Robinson. I wrote him off for dead, wrote the eulogy, picked out the casket, bought him a double-breasted fuchsia suit, found out his favorite song to sing at the funeral. Robinson suffered an Achilles tear in week 16. He's a cyborg. There's no way he should still be explosive and making sharp jump cuts and playing like he hasn't skipped a beat. He put up 17 for 100, and he broke a 50-yard TD. He scored in every game this year. And ETN was just an expensive handcuff by being a 4th rounder. Christian Kirk, 6 for 72 and a TD. Now, I didn't expect much out of Justin Herbert trying to play through the pain of having fractured ribs. They say it's painful to breathe when you have such injury, a rib injury. And just put on top of that the factors of you can't take a sack. You're trying to win a game and you're dealing with the pain. Bars. The Chargers playmakers didn't kill you, but they didn't help you secure the win either. Eckler having 8 grabs for 48 yards and Mike Williams scoring a 15-yard TD. So hopefully Bosa and Herbert can get healthy in a week. We'll see. Now that we got that out the way, let's get to why you're here. The waiver wire picks of the week. I don't think it's necessarily any good QB waiver ads that I haven't already mentioned in weeks past. The player for you to look out for at QB is Kenny Pickett if you're in a 2 QB or a super flex league. It's only a matter of time before they insert this rookie in before they lose the team. Trubisky is who we thought he was. It's just too many weapons on this team for them to be this mediocre on offense. The number 1 running back to own is Jamal Williams of the Detroit Lions, with DeAndre Swift suffering a shoulder injury. Now, he might be owned because he's 61% rostered, but if he's out there, you have to scoop him up considering he's going to get all the touches behind the top 5 offensive line. He had 20 carries, 87 yards, and 2 TDs. The number 2 running back to own is Khalil Herbert of the Chicago Bears. David Montgomery suffered a ankle/knee injury in the first quarter. We still don't know. They ruled him out before he made it to the tunnel. So I personally think he's going to miss some time. Now, the Bears won't be lucky enough to play the Texans every week. But what you can rely on is the Bears are a running team, even if they are down 73 points. Justin Fields only threw the ball 17 times, so they have little to no intention on airing it out at all. Herbert wrapped up his day having 20 carries for 157 yards. He's the number 2 ad whether you have Montgomery or not. Especially, well, we'll have another day or so in order to figure out if Montgomery is going to miss substantial time. And if so, he's the number 2 guy. The number 3 running back to own is Alexander Mattison of the Minnesota Vikings, especially if you're a Dalvin Cook owner. I told y'all, I don't own Cook because he brings too much anxiety to my fantasy world. My heart can't take him having him on my team. Last season, he suffered a shoulder injury in the San Fran game. The entire world just knew he was going on a snap count the next game. So he tore up everybody's bench, hitting us up for 205 yards. So if he plays, you start him. But you have to get Madison as your insurance policy if you're the Dalvin Cook owner. The number 1 wide receiver to add is Romeo Doubs of the Green Bay Packers. Aaron Rodgers not having a consistent wide receiver is just weird. It's like having the show House of Dragons, but there's no dragons on the show. It just doesn't make sense. Insert Romeo Doubs. Now, I don't know if this is real or if it's just fool's gold, but what I will tell you is somebody has to catch passes in Green Bay. Sammy Watkins on the IRR. Christian Watson, he's dealing with an injury as well. Doubs caught all 8 of his targets for 73 yards and a TD. He was second in snaps with 55 of the 62 snaps. I don't think they can put the genie back in the bottle after this performance. Now, I'm not starting him. This is me waiting to see how he does in the next 2 weeks. The number 2 wide receiver to add is Greg Dortch of the Arizona Cardinals. No, I've never heard of him either. His name sounds more like a law firm than a football player. Have you been hurt in an accident? Call me. I'm Greg Dortch, and I'll fight for you. That makes more sense. But I told you to grab him 2 weeks ago because this is the Christian Kirk role. He got an uptick in snaps, and he played 67 of the 83 snaps. He's had double-digit points in every game. Now, he is a placeholder for Rondale Moore, so this isn't long-term. But you're not waiting for that. Your job is to win this week. With A.J. Green being hurt, this is a plug-and-play move until Hopkins and Rondale get back. Now, if Rondale gets any practice time on, you better be ready to pivot. With the number 3 wide receiver to add, you don't want to make a waiver for this fella because it's all predicated off of if Keenan Allen plays this week. But it's Joshua Palmer, who has had 2 nice performances in the absence of Keenan and Kale. Even in an ugly game against the Jags, he still put up 6 for 99 yards. If Allen is out, Palmer is in. The number 1 tight end to grab, and possibly the only one to add, is David Njoku of the Bad News Browns. Now, he is 51% on, but it's still worth a shot in how well he played in the Thursday game against the Steelers. I don't think Jacoby Brissett is a special QB, but he can get the ball 10 to 15 yards down the field. So 9 for 89 that Njoku put up wasn't a surprise. He's super athletic. He just needs the ball. Can Brissett get him the same amount of targets every week? Probably not. But the tight end landscape is so bad that most of us that went tight end late would kill to get 10 PPR points. In conclusion, these are the best waiver wire picks of the week. Thanks for being here. If you got any start sit questions, trade questions, anything fantasy related, drop it in the comments. I'll be sure to answer abruptly. I'm out.